So the song I'll be singing is called His Eyes on the Sparrow. It's kind of like this old song, but I just think the message of it is really pretty. It just talks about how God will always take care for us because He takes care and watches the little birds and sparrows. So just hope we can all feel peace with that. Why should I feel discouraged? And why should the shadows come? Why should my heart feel lonely and long for heavenly home? When Jesus is my portion, oh, my constant friend is He. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He's watching me. See, I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. Oh, for His eye He's on the sparrow, and I know He watches me, for I know He watches you and me.
So it has been 26 days since you guys are given the stay-at-home order for your schooling and sentenced to online schooling. That's 26 days, meaning 624 hours, 37,440 minutes, and still counting. You guys will have to wear your masks, as you guys are seeing me now. Trying to stay safe, try to stay home, save lives. This Vespers, or this chapel series, is entitled Under Pressure. Webster's Dictionary actually defines it as to force or to influence toward a particular end. To force or to influence someone towards a particular end. In other words, pressure is something in motion. Pressure is something that is continuous, something that is active, something that is driving towards a certain goal. Depending on the influence or depending on the certain type of pressure will bring out a certain or particular end. I remember when I started seeing all this stuff about coronavirus, when I started seeing the stay-at-home orders, it felt like the apocalypse was happening. I mean, in so many movies you see like empty towns, you see everybody piling up in front of restaurants, in front of grocery stores, stockpiling because the end of the world is coming. And when I started seeing all this stuff, I was like, wow, this feels like a movie. This can't be real. This can't be real life. Now having to go around wearing a mask everywhere, everybody avoiding each other, social distancing, and you have different people who are staying safe, staying at home, and you have other people saying, whatever, I'm just gonna live my life and not care about that. I know it's difficult in this time, going through this huge change, this huge drastic shift in your daily lives and your daily routines, but I hope through these talks it can give you guys some hope and give you some enlightenment as well. This is something personally, but whenever I go through something difficult or something hard, there's something I've always done since I was a kid, and that is to eat an Oreo McFlurry with French fries. If you guys ever see me eating an Oreo McFlurry with French fries, I'm having the worst day. And that's honestly, whenever I eat that, I feel better and the world is put back in place. But I remember one of my friends knew I was having a bad day and said, do you want to get an Oreo McFlurry and French fries? And I said, yeah, I do. And then they were checking Postmates because we can't really go outside and we're trying to stay at home. And then they said, oh, it's too late. The only thing that is open is Wendy's. Do you want the Wendy's, what is it, Frosty and fries? I'm like, no, it's not the same. It's not the same. And when I heard that, it sounds so dumb, it sounds so stupid, but when I heard that, I felt like things couldn't be normal. And so for me, not having that routine, that ritual of having an Oreo McFlurry with French fries messed up my entire day. So this whole coronavirus, I kind of see it as that. That's your Frosty, Wendy's Frosty with French fries. I mean, not being able to go to school, see your friends, not being able to do the normal things you usually do, go to the mall and all that. And that's why I wanted to share with you guys this verse that I found in James chapter 1, verse 19, that I actually think can give us some light to this dark time that we're all going through. And it goes like this, James 1 chapter 19, it says, "My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires." It says, be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to be angry, because it does not produce God's righteousness. Now, I like that because what James is not saying is whether or not you will be angry. It is entirely natural for us to be angry and upset at what is going on. I talk to my youth all the time, and they're upset. They regret and are mad that their school, their online school, is even harder than their physical school. That they have to stay home, that they don't get to see their friends, that they can't go to the mall. It is completely okay to be angry, but what James is saying is that it's not a question of if you are angry, but what is the motivation behind that anger? Why are you angry? Yeah, more importantly, what are you going to do with that anger? The stress of the verse is, what will it produce? Is the kind of anger you have a human anger that's going to produce human desire? Or is the kind of anger a driving force to produce God's righteousness? And the pressure we're talking about today is being upset, is being angry. Again, it's not a question of if you are angry, it's what are you going to do with that anger? What are you going to produce with that anger? The kind of anger that produces there's the kind of anger that produces violence, and there's the kind of anger that produces impulsiveness, and there's the kind of anger that produces productivity. There's the kind of anger that produces righteousness, that produces and drives you to be a better person, that actually drives you to be passionate about things. So the pressure, the force that is exerting upon you is completely and entirely natural, and that is a natural human anger. But what are you going to do with that anger in this time? Are you going to be upset and just say, you know what, never mind, I'm just going to go out and do whatever I want and risk the lives of other people? Or am I going to be patient? Use this time to learn about myself. Take this time to be productive. Take this time to do the things that every single time I said, if I had the time, I would do so. Are you going to use this anger to learn patience? To learn certain skills? To learn things about yourself? What are you going to do with that anger? The memory verse that I want to share with you guys for this week of prayer is also found in James chapter 1, and it's in verse 12. It said, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial." But I'm going to change that. I'm going to edit that for this week of prayer. The title of this week of prayer is Under Pressure, so let's read that again with the new edition. So it reads, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under pressure, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him." I like how it says perseveres under trial. It doesn't say overcome trial or beat your trials. It just says to persevere. It just says to endure. And so I know this time right now, and I don't know what's going on in all of your lives, but it feels like a heavy burden. It feels like a weight. It feels like your whole world has changed. It's that frosty milkshake with fries, and it's not what you wanted. It's not a McFlurry. But it's about enduring it. It's about persevering through it. And I like how at the end God gives you a promise. If you can withstand it right now, if you can endure through it, if you can persevere through it, God has promised you life. And God has promised you that there is something at the end of this. There's a show I watch all the time, and it's called The Office, if you guys watch that show. And I remember watching a commentary on what was the premise of the show. Because it's just an office, it's boring, it's bleak, just like our lives right now. You're at home, there's nothing, you feel like nothing to do, that's why everybody's staying in line and hoarding switches. But they said, and as you guys know, The Office is one of the most popular shows even to this day. Still watched on Netflix, probably the most watched show on Netflix even still to today. The whole premise of the show was the image of a flower bursting out of asphalt. In a boring business world, in a world where everybody seems to not care. And right now, with empty churches, empty buildings, empty restaurants, empty parking lots, and we're all just stuck at home, I challenge you to try to find that flower that bursts out of asphalt. To try to find that flower that bursts out of the concrete. Try to find in every single day that one thing that makes you see the brighter side. Thank you guys for listening for today. That's Under Pressure. I'll see you guys tomorrow.